Alright, so maayong adlaw po sa atong tanan, maayong adlaw din sa inyong tanan. I'm hoping all of you are well, and I'm very sorry if we weren't able to pursue our live session yesterday for our online meetup because of unstable internet connectivity in my area, no? And I'm hoping that all of you will be able to listen to the discussion. And as a part of our discussion, no, this is our last topic in our syllabus, which is actually the ease of doing business. And perhaps for the position paper, the group were asked if they are going to side with the unstrict government policies or boosting investment towards development. So these are actually some or few of the submitted position paper that we need to discuss actually. But perhaps no, let's first. Okay, so let's start our activity so that I can check if everyone is settled down. I need you to type in our FB Messenger group, GC and PM 504, the numbers equivalent to the first letter of your surname or last name. And do not type any other words or even a hint, but only type the number. So, thank you so much for cooperating. Please type the po. Ayan, I think all of us are now settled and you are ready for our discussion. All right, so our discussion for today will start about Republic Act 11032, which is a very important law made by the government to prevent corruption. It is actually an amended law from Anti-Red Tape Act of 2007, and the law is known as the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act of 2018. Its effectivity date started last June 17, 2018, and the Anti-Red Tape and the Ease of Doing Business are actually laws established to ensure that delivery of service towards the people will be more effective and could prevent slacking off of people for public service. So these are the highlights of the law. Of course, the main center there is the Citizens Charter, in which we've been discussing since the start of our class, the zero contact transaction for anti-red tape, and preventing bribery for service in the government, and the rule of 3720 as processing time for simple, complex, and highly technical transaction. This means that as government improve its services, it must be written in the Citizens Charter, no? So in the previous law, which is the anti-red tape, the Citizens Charter must be detailed and contain the procedure to obtain a particular service. So the persons responsible for each step is also included in our Citizens Charter, the maximum time to conclude the process, the documentation to be presented by the customer, then the amount of fees, and the procedure for filing complaints. And now, I want to check actually if you are with me in this discussion. So I need you to write in our GC if what has been added in Republic Act 11032 for the details in the Citizens Charter. Kasi po, iba po kasi yung nasa Anti-Red Tape Act at saka nag-iba rin po yung nandito sa Republic Act 11032. Meron silang dinagdag na isa na wala po doon sa Anti-Red Tape Act natin. So I want to check if you were able still to remember and you could perhaps do a little bit review from these rules, no? Kasi we really need to understand the importance of having citizens charter in our offices. Ayan, so I think mayroon nang nagta-type in sa GC natin kung ano yung wala sa RA 9485 at ano ang meron sa RA 11032. Ayan. So, yes, it's a comprehensive and uniform checklist of requirements for each type of application or request. Yun po yung nadagdag sa RA 11032 because in RA 11032, yung pinaka-first po talaga na makikita nyo sa Citizens Charter is the comprehensive and uniform checklist. Kasi doon sa Anti-Red Tape Act, wala po siya. Yung number one agad doon is the people concerned for that certain kind of businesses. So, if you were able to understand how important is Citizens Charter, you could actually do a little bit of review if you have this in your organization. And I'm hoping all of your organizations or even in your institutions. Alright, so review ko lang po to. We were able to found out naman how important is your citizens charter in your institution. And perhaps no, it is being posted in a conspicuous places and strategic location. Now in our GC po, type po the number of days in every transaction in a manner the same with the example stated in the presentation. So how many days for complex, how many days for highly technical, and how many days for simple transaction? Please type po in the chat box. That is correct po. For complex transaction, we have 7 days. Highly technical is 20 days, and simple transaction is 3 days. So if you are working in a government or plans to work in the government, it serves a standard that 3-7-20 is the rule for every transaction from simple to highly technical. So some offices disregard such services because they might not know or does not want to implement the law itself. So Republic Act 11032 punishes those who ignored nor does not implement the said transaction days, no? And it must be reflected in your citizens charter. So I've been explaining that government services, effectiveness and efficiency rating is really law. Hence, to ensure increase of effectiveness rating, the law is promulgated and must be implemented. So while checking your position paper, I was able to conclude that almost all of you really knows how important it is for government to work with its services so that our country can be developed. So we've been really talking how to improve our country or our economy, and government really is one responsible institution for it. So if you could check the last statement, you may be able to ponder that yes, individuals must really need to ponder on ways to increase investment, not only in foreign but also local for us to develop. So we've been hit by COVID-19, and perhaps it could be a learning lesson to all of us to also establish rules that won't impede transactions. So government mechanized a lot of rules, and one of these is the work from home program or even the flexible hours. However, some of these rules are not well defined. That is perhaps one reason why it is subject for corruption. So this is another reason really to formulate these laws. Ayan, pang-economics na po talagang kinukonclude ng ating mga kaklase. So we've been pointing at that for government to ensure economic growth, the political leaders and public administrators must really do understand how to establish policies that positively impacts our economy. Ang dami na po nating mga rules and laws. It is a matter of implementing it thoroughly and then monitoring it. Otherwise, balik pa rin po tayo sa developing. So, I always emphasize this, that when are we going to have that ED after the word develop? Since then, even after more than decades, we are stuck in the word developing. Being more accountable really is our duty as public managers or public administrators or even government officials, and must also be practiced. Diba, there are many types of accountability. It could be answerability, liability, blameworthiness, or attributability. If you are any of this type, then you may be able to understand more how to become more accountable in the service of public delivery. Corruption naman po is an old problem. So, elementary pa lang ako, naririnig ko na yan. And yun na daw talaga ang problema ng bansa. But yes, it is still present. And how can we solve this? I have been telling it that it must start within us, reflective in the education sector, and to be added by the way you practice in any environment you are into, whether public or private institution. Redress self-interest and of course emphasize public interest while we are working in public management. So this is very much true, no? Just because a policy has been in place for 5 or 10 years, it does not mean that it can be changed. But if we really wanted change, then you follow the rules and law. And if it does not conform anymore with the grassroots setting, then amend the law. This is how we need to think about it. Appreciate what the law is for, not what the law can do. Because if you do understand the embodiment of its purpose, you will also try to prevent anything that may go against the law. All of us are not exempted from it. There is a law because there is a purpose. So that perhaps is one of the reasons why we need really to understand the law. Since all of us believe that ease of doing business or the strict implementation of the rules helps boost investment towards development, let me give you a brief overview of cities and municipalities competitive index, or what we know as CMCI. So the CMCI is a local competitiveness framework adapted from Michael Porter, which is also being used in a number of global surveys on competitiveness. So Porter's definition of competitiveness focused on the idea of productivity, and productivity is defined as output per unit of input. It is actually an annual ranking that is based on the four pillars of development scoring, which is the economic dynamism, government efficiency, infrastructure, and resiliency. As DTI explained, the index actually can be used as a diagnostic tool by local government officials to assess the competitiveness of their city or municipality and identify areas for improvement and collaboration. The data also can provide insight for policy making, development planning, and even investment promotion. So as an example, we have here Naval as the capital town of Biliran, and as of 2021, we were ranked as 279th out of 508. And this is for the first and second municipalities. So again, the index measure how productive the municipality is, and Naval is in the middle range, not above, not also below. So among the four pillars, it is actually economic dynamism that is higher compared to the three, since we ranked 97th out of the 508, which means actually our local economy is really striving and boosting businesses, of course, for quality of life. This is actually the government efficiency, and this is infrastructure. So if you could check, no, resiliency ranks the lowest among the pillars, since we are down to 462 out of the 508. Konti na lang, nasa bottom rank na tayo. And this pillar is actually more into the emergency infrastructures, or our DRRM program projects and activities, which is very crucial in boosting our economy. So if we are in the public management, having this data tells us which must be focused, for it is the weakness, and which must be strengthened. So going back to efficiency, so it actually tells us that Nabal also is weak when it comes to efficiency, since we rank 308 out of 500. So we need really to boost up this pillar, no? By checking the status quo of your city or municipality, you can actually know where to enhance or upgrade the services of your institution, whether public or private. So, as per saying of Jared Silver, he stated that doing things is not the same as getting things done. Therefore, as public managers and student of public management, we need to understand how to implement the policy for the betterment of everyone. At last, ito na po yung huli, so that your participation today will be recorded. If you are done watching this video, please type in the link and fill it in. This will serve as your attendance. So without answering the questions in this attendance link, your attendance won't be recorded. Please check again. This is the link for your attendance. This is po your instructor, Anel Ruth D. Celis, and reminding all of you of the vision of our government that by 2040, the country will be a prosperous, predominantly middle-class society where there is no poor, will enjoy long and healthy lives, smart and innovative, and will live in a high-trust society. Maayong adlaw po. God bless po for your comprehensive examination. Thank you po so much, and this is the last topic for PM 504, Accountability and Public Ethics. Maayong adlaw po.